Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be focusing on one of the pitfalls that I have experienced while growing Vandas in pots. Before we get into it, I want to do a quick focus on Vanda Memoria Holland Tan. This Vanda has been in her pot for the last 3 years. 3? 4? One of those. She is in beautiful bloom today, as you can see. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 open and 3 left to go. Yeah. Vanda Memoria Holland Tan is for those of you who enjoy candy scented flowers. This one is strongly fragrant of cotton candy, sugar, and a little bit of sweet honey. This fragrance can waft approximately 5 feet when the humidity is high. However, I'm not going to talk about this beauty today. What I'm talking about is growing the Vanda in pots and one of the problems that I have faced and how I actually fixed it. Let's walk around right here to the pot itself. If you look down in her pot, you can see all the roots going directly down into my media, which is lava rock and basket liner, the coconut coir basket liner. Now note how all the roots are going directly down into the pot, except for this one. So what are we talking about today? One of the things you will face as you're growing your Vandas in pots is, how do I control these errant roots? Now a lot of you might think, well, growing the Vandas in pots is not ideal. And yes, that is true. But for some of us, we have to actually do it because we live in a colder climate, a drier climate, and we have to find ways to actually control the environment unnaturally. As such, I put my Vandas in pots. Ordinarily, I prefer using clay pots, but sometimes I want to hang the Vanda, so I put it in a plastic pot, as the clay pot gets heavy. Now what we're going to be talking about today is actually root training for the Vanda in pots. What do I mean by root training? Is there even such a thing? Well, stay tuned. Listen in. Let's chat about it. I'm going to start with this guy, Vanda lamellata var boxali. Now, this Vanda, as you can see in the pot, the roots have swirled all the way around, neatly and tidily. And I barely have anything else outside the pot. Now, this is not entirely a natural occurrence. What root training is while the roots are freshly growing, you kind of have to pay attention to where they're going and decide to gently push them into the pot, which literally trains it to grow in a circle down into the pot itself. Now, should I lose focus and not catch these roots as they're growing, you will see an example of that. See, I'm tucking that in right there, and I go around the pot. I literally end up doing this every summer because that's when the roots actually start to really grow at a rapid speed. Now, this one, I can't really do anything to this one. It's kind of pointing straight out and not to the side. And if I try to tuck it into the pot, it will break. So when that happens, I generally end up turning them when the root is long enough. See? And some of them even get stuck to the pot itself. So you kind of, as you're growing your Vandas in pots, you have to kind of make sure the roots are growing into the pot itself to contain it, because otherwise sometimes they can grow out of the pot. And then you have the same issue to begin with, where the outside is too dry and the air is too dry. And then you have that problem all over again, only it's in a pot, right? So that's the boxali. This is one of my more perfect specimens of root training because I stayed on top of it for this guy. But sometimes it doesn't go that way. Let me show you this guy here. So this is my, where are you again? Neophoenicia falcata amami pros Vanda denisoniana. These roots, they're all over the place. This summer, the root growth on it was great. Let me show you down in the pot. See, there are no desiccated roots here. However, the roots are kind of all over the place. I don't like them hanging out like that because when winter comes, that's when they can get rather desiccated. So for the most part, if you can see here, I tried to turn them back inside the pot as much as possible without breaking them. So I gently tuck whoever can go inside the pot. Sometimes I can't get them because I let them go too far. I am gingerly tucking them into the pot under each other. And it's kind of like weaving baskets almost. Now some of them grow onto the pot. I don't actually mind that too much because the pot itself retains some moisture. But if I can get the roots to grow inwards onto each other, I tuck them in as much as possible. Go around the pot, see who is hanging, see who I can get inside. See? Not everybody. Sometimes I let it get out of hand. So see, there you go. I tucked some more in. Another example, I don't really like messing with the newer acquisitions because when they're growing roots, as you can see here, I don't like messing with them too much. But here we have a brand new root trying to go outside to a degree. This root itself is even branching on the inside of the pot. Can you see that? So here, I gently do that. Stick it right in. Sometimes I even take the coconut core and cover the root a little, which keeps it inside the pot. Because again, what you want is the roots to stay inside the pot. And for the most part, they do stay, but you have some outliers every now and then. Now, there are some that are of the thicker persuasion. Vasco Ploin Pit Prize here, the roots are extremely thick, kind of like a Rhincostylus gigantea. Once these roots come out of the pot, I don't really have much luck getting them back in. They're like super rigid and you don't want to break these roots. Any of the Rhincostylus family or the ones with the very thick roots, you want to watch them like a hawk when they are growing their roots to try and coax the roots downwards into the pot. This root is about to go up. I'm going to see if I can get it. Ooh, there we go. Just tucked inward. So that for the most part, all the roots are neatly in the pot. And I do tell you, sometimes I fail. This one didn't have a ton of roots. All the roots kind of came off this main branch right here. And as it grew, I just, mosquito, I tucked them down into the pot. This one is kind of off center, but I don't really care. It had bad roots when it came, but look at this. It is completely rooted now in the pot. Let me see if I can lift it up and show you. There you go. Shouldn't really do that, but that's just to show you what happens when they're in the pot. See? But as I said, now this guy got out of hand. It's like sticking up and out. I can't really do anything with it. The root is too thick. So when it gets longer and it has another, it has another like maybe a tip, a bend at the end, I'll try and tuck it into the pot at that point. One more example. Here's my PDA Kyra Green. This one got out of hand. This should have been tucked in a long time ago. So now it's like all the way down the bottom of the pot. I don't know if I can, usually you want to do this when the roots are a little moist. I'm gingerly bending it. All right, no breaks yet. Will it? Yep, there you go. And I pushed it down in the pot. So you want to keep encouraging them to do that as the roots grow, if you can. Here's another little outlier. If I can tuck it in just a little bit without breaking it, that's the goal. Maybe I'll use the leaf to anchor it a bit. Come on, you can do it. Now just push it in. It's still sticking up, but whatever. So that is basically one of the pitfalls of growing your Vandas in pots. That you kind of have to make sure that their roots are being contained in the pot itself, because then you run into the issues of the roots growing outside, and that's not really why you're growing them in the pot to begin with, right? So anyway, that was just a tip of mine, some of the pitfalls that I have faced while growing my Vandas in pots. I do have to monitor them here and there to make sure that they're growing inside the pot itself. Now, hopefully this was actually helpful to you. Now, thanks for watching. Bye. Oh, if you like this content and content like this is useful to you, please consider subscribing, like, share, and perhaps leave a comment on how this was helpful to you. How are you growing your Vandas in pots? Or are you even growing them in glasses? I've seen people doing that. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.